Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor and my privilege to rise today in this House to speak to Bill C-376, an act to designate the month of April as Sikh Heritage Month. I must first commend the member from Surrey Newton for all his hard work in bringing this bill forward. I know this piece of legislation means a lot to Sikh Canadians in my riding of Brampton North, but also to Sikhs across Canada and abroad. The passage of this bill would recognize the contributions of Sikhs to Canadian society and educate future generations about our language, traditions, and history in Canada. I look around at my fellow Sikh members of Parliament, listen to their personal stories, and cannot help but acknowledge and be grateful that we have had the opportunity to be here today because of the hard work and the struggles of the Sikh community before us. Since arriving on Canadian shores, Sikhs have been active members of our society. Canada has now become home to one of the largest Sikh populations in the world, and the Sikh community has become known for their compassion, their work ethic, and their entrepreneurship. The month of April holds particular significance to Sikhs as it is the time of year when the community celebrates Vaisakhi, which marks the birth of the Khalsa Panth. Sikhism is rooted in the teachings of equality, unity, selfless service, and social justice, values that all Canadians hold dearly and strive to incorporate into their daily lives. Sikh values, in fact, are Canadian values. However, it has not always been easy. The Sikh community has been a victim to racism, discrimination, and violence. Generations of Sikhs have struggled to find their place. Our clothing, our turbans, our gurbans, our food, our traditions were not welcome. From the rejection of Sikhs aboard the Kamagata Meru to the destruction of Gurdwaras, the history of Sikhs in Canada have had dark chapters. However, those dark chapters are now coming to a close because as a country we have grown. I, the daughter of Sikh immigrants, today have the opportunity to stand in this House and to speak to legislation that recognizes the importance of my heritage, so that tomorrow Sikh youth can take the utmost pride in who they are and be able to share and celebrate that heritage. Sikhs have found their place in this country because of our proud legacy of multiculturalism, which does not ask us to choose between our faith and our religion. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms has allowed Sikhs to physically and spiritually be who they are without giving up being Canadian. The implementation of the Charter has ensured that equality and diversity become the pillar and strength of our nation. I've been fortunate to be able to travel to every province and territory and see how the contributions made by Sikhs are evident from coast to coast to coast. I went to Nunavut earlier last year and I visited a Sikh who's working on a Liberal campaign and working for a riding association out there. I met Sikhs in New Brunswick who are driving taxis. I know Sikhs that are running homeless shelters, food banks, and a lot of other langar services, Meals on Wheels. I've met Sikhs that are teaching Bhangra out in Whitehorse and out in Halifax. So there's been contributions to celebrate our heritage all throughout the country. With C-376, we are able to share and celebrate Canadian heritage through a Sikh lens. As our Prime Minister stated when he visited the Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada, the story of the Sikh community in Canada is in fact just the story of Canada. This summer, I was excited to be on hand when we announced funding for the museum and a project aimed at creating a Canadian Sikh Heritage Trail and a traveling Canadian Sikh timeline exhibition, along with a web portal and interactive mobile application showcasing facts, figures, and Sikh personalities that have shaped civic life of Canada. The project will allow current and future generations of Canadians to learn more about the struggles, sacrifices, and successes of Sikhs and in their travel across this beautiful country. As I speak about our heritage and our history in Canada, I wanted to take a moment to highlight the contributions of Canadian Sikh women. In 1912, Harnam Kaur and Kartar Kaur fought for the right of women and children to join Sikh men in Canada. In 1946, Ajit Kaur defended herself at City Council when her neighbours did not want her to move in because they feared that the family would lower property values. In 1949 and in 1950, respectively, Dr. Surjit Kaur Sidhu and Dr. Jagdish Kaur Sidhu graduated from the University of Toronto as the first female Sikh doctors in Canada. More recently, trailblazers like Balbinder Kaur Shergill, Lily Singh, and our very own Honourable Government House Leader are contributing to our place in Canada and showing the next generation that anything is possible. As I reflect on what Bill C-376 means to me, I'm reminded of one of Rupi Kaur's verses entitled Progress. Our work should not equip the next generation of women to outdo us in every field. This is the legacy we leave behind. I want to once again applaud the member from Surrey Newton for his work in leaving behind a legacy, whereas every April, we as Canadians celebrate our Sikh heritage and the contribution of the Sikh community to Canada. I'd like also to thank him for his work and efforts on the Kama Gatameru apology. He's been working hard on the issue since 1999. I join my colleague in looking forward to seeing all members in this House passing this bill so that we can honour and retell the Canadian stories for future generations to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.